Good morning. On behalf of the United States government, I want to thank LARS and the European Union for hosting this important and timely meeting. We're here today out of a shared concern about the future of religious and ethnic diversity and pluralism in Iraq. We stand united in our joint condemnation of the atrocities ISIS has committed against religious and ethnic minorities, particularly Christians, as well as those committed throughout Iraq. The actions of ISIS in 2014 and beyond reflect the darkest impulses of humanity, the violence, hatred, and oppression inflicted on the most vulnerable. Such barbarity must be met with a unity of purpose and commitment to protecting those who suffered and rebuilding an Iraqi society better equipped to counter such hate. We stand together here insisting that human rights, including religious freedom of all, must be respected. And we meet to help move words into action, to find ways to do more at this crucial moment, to ensure Iraq's historic, religious, and ethnic pluralism remains a reality, to see that these men and women are respected as equals, and that they have a hand in determining the future of their own communities. The United States is fully committed to assisting the victims of ISIS atrocities and genocide efforts, and promoting religious diversity and pluralism. President Trump emphasized during his visit to Saudi Arabia the need to address violent radicalization and the harmful effects it has, particularly on minority communities, as well as all of society in Iraq, calling on the international community to stand together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women, the persecution of Jews, and the slaughter of Christians. Vice President Pence also made clear that protecting and promoting religious freedom is a foreign policy priority of this administration. And we are, as he said, fully committed to bringing relief and comfort to believers, not only in the Middle East, but across the world. This is too big a task for Iraq or any country to handle alone. We must continue to work together to help these communities in ways we can, such as by training local police forces, supporting accountability, and identifying and preserving evidence of ISIS crimes, including identifying and preserving mass graves, and ensuring survivors of these horrors receive the psychosocial assistance they need. The fight against ISIS has been difficult, and it is not over. Though large parts of Nineveh and Mosul have been liberated due to the efforts and sacrifices of the Iraqi security forces and the Defeat ISIS coalition, the international community must now shift to the hard work of winning the rest of the military fight and the equally difficult task of winning the peace. In this effort, we continue to see the Paris Action Plan as a useful roadmap for the steps governments and others can take to aid Christian communities targeted and threatened by ISIS and other terrorist organizations. The action plan rightly emphasizes several key goals that many of you have iterated here today: supporting sustainable and voluntary return and the reintegration of those displaced, fighting impunity and working to help ensure accountability, promoting inclusiveness and plurality in all political processes, and preserving the cultural heritage of Iraq. These goals reflect the importance of protecting human rights like religious freedom and equal citizenship for all. The United States provides significant funding for the post-liberation stabilization efforts through the UN's Funding Facility for Immediate Stabilization, FFIS, and the Funding Facility for Extended Stabilization, FFES, with at least 70 projects underway or in development for vulnerable communities in the Nineveh Plains. Given the extensive destruction by ISIS, we remain in the early stages of what will be a long and hard recovery. That said, with U.S. and coalition funding for FFIS, projects that will set the conditions for the return of Christian communities have begun. Basic education, water, and electricity projects have been authorized, are somewhere along the way towards completion in Karakosh and Telkif. In Bartala, trained explosive ordnance teams have cleared schools, power stations, and medical facilities. In Sinjar district, a primarily Yazidi area, the UNDP has completed the rehabilitation of the Sununi Hospital and Primary Health Clinic, 7 schools, and 7 water wellheads and pumps, and more projects are planned for later this year. Additionally, the United States supports accountability initiatives, including documented abuses by all sides of the conflict. We assist groups with technical skills to secure, preserve, and exhume mass graves resulting from the ISIS atrocities. We support training and technical assistance to judicial actors and government officials on the legal frameworks and tools to prevent arbitrary detention and protect vulnerable populations, including by promoting access to information, representation, and due process in detention facilities. As our Yazidi colleagues said yesterday, There can be no peace without justice. In addition to the billions of humanitarian assistance funding for Iraqis and Syrians in need, the United States has, since 2008, provided more than $100 million in assistance for religious and ethnic communities in Iraq, including Yazidis and Christians. This assistance has included promotion of respect for human rights of members of minority groups, interfaith tolerance, community stabilization, and conflict mitigation. My office will soon publish our annual report on international religious freedom in Iraq, which is based in part on information shared from civil society members such as yourselves. The report covers government policies violating religious belief and practices of groups, religious denominations, and individuals, and the U.S. policies to promote religious freedom around the world. It illustrates that while ISIS has posed the most immediate and deadly threat to Christians and other minorities, broad challenges to their freedom in Iraq remain. The Christian and allied groups here today have shared their priorities and the needs of their people, and we must now consider what more we can do as a community of values, a community that respects diversity of thought and belief, to...
Okay. A little bit slower.
Thank you. The Christian, would you like, okay. The Christian and allied groups here today have shared their priorities and the needs of their people. We must now consider what more we can do as a community of values, a community that respects diversity of thought and belief, to help recreate the conditions that give minorities confidence in a future in their ancestral homelands. Time is working against us. After years of terror, the rich tapestry of religious and ethnic diversity in Iraq has begun to fray and tear apart. During our visits, we have seen the vibrancy in what is left of the minority communities, but also their precarious and fragile existence. If robust steps are not taken in the coming months so minority communities can provide for their own security and so their towns and villages receive reconstruction assistance, the exodus will likely continue. We support the hard work of our EU and Iraqi colleagues, and Iraqis must ultimately decide their future. We will continue to work together in the months to come to enable greater respect for human rights, equal citizenship, religious freedom, and interfaith and interethnic tolerance and acceptance. We believe the best way to defeat ISIS and counter its ideology of hate is by protecting what they tried to destroy, respect for religious and ethnic pluralism and the diverse community of Iraq. Thank you.
I would like, if you allow me, to follow up with just one question, which was raised also yesterday and which is, of course, of great importance and interest for this conference, and that is the issue of autonomy or self-determination when it comes to the Nineveh Plain region. I wonder if you could elaborate a little about on this. We had a resolution in this parliament where we, from the European side, support a political solution with self-governance in the Nineveh Plains, and this is also a very important part in the policy document that the parties of this conference is united behind. So it would be interesting to hear your take on this issue, please.
As many of our speakers noted, the Iraqi constitution permits for such a decision. That said, this is a decision Iraq must make for itself.
Al-Bidawit from Patriarch Bidawit Foundation and Hidyab. As everybody yesterday insisted, time is running out, and we need really a strong action, in my opinion, and we talked with Lars yesterday. In my opinion, you should really consider joining a committee and a committee of action, because really people cannot wait. It is a biblical catastrophe. So you have immediately to move on, to make fundraising, to make a project on the ground so the people will have hope. I mean, this is the most urgent thing. They are bleeding, and you have to stop the bleeding. We cannot wait. And I think all the patriarchs here, all the people here are expecting a big action resulting from this, not another conference, and everybody goes back and forget after 2 weeks. Please, Mr. Lasatix and Mrs. Mercer, you have a great responsibility, and I want you please to elaborate what you think about this question. When you can come together, when you can draw a conference for donation, for really, we need a Marshall Plan. A Marshall Plan immediately. Without Marshall Plan, we will have a third world war, and all these fanatics will come back. They will come back, sooner or later. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Father Imani Wilukana, the director of CAPNI Christian Aid Program, Nuhadra, Iraq, a humanitarian organization. I will speak as usual, try to be very open, very fair, very honest, and friendly. Yeah. This is...
But make it short.
Yeah. After almost 14 years of toppling the ex-regime of Saddam Hussein, US led the mission. Now, I would say the minorities, including my community, my Chaldean Syrian Christian in Iraq, we lost the trust in US policy to protect and ensure a democratic future where people can live in dignity in Iraq, in justice, etc. So I will make it very short because I guess the message is the question is clear. I would not go that far with the conspiracy theory, but the reality on the ground is telling that our people missed this trust, especially under Obama administration. By now, we also expect a clear action plan to restore this trust and to come in reality on the ground that US is a partner for the Iraqi minorities to build a common future, brighter future for all. Do you have such a clear plan and in short term, because we don't have the luxury of time for decades? Thank you.
I'm Fars Yusuf Jadju, former Minister of Science and Technology in Iraq. My question is, in short, what is the responsibility of United States about what happened to our people, especially our minorities? The second question, what is the plan in limited time that was put by the United States administration for the future solution for our people? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. And I want to assure you that my team and my office think about these questions every day, nearly all day. And we are here to provide your voice into the U.S. government, which is a large and complicated institution with many interests. That said, it has been clear from our president and our vice president, our secretary, down to our working level, that these questions must be answered. It's equally clear that this is not going to be a fast process. We've evoked the Marshall Plan. Unfortunately, that is a many year operation, and we are at the beginning of a hard, long path. We've started with the first step, which we've considered the most important, and that is defeating ISIS and removing them from these towns and villages. The next step will be trying to repair and rebuild what they damaged. That will be demining, that will be getting rid of the chemical damage, and then moving into reconstructing the buildings. And I don't think I would be most honest and the best friend to you if I told you this would be fast. It is moving as fast as we can. The projects we've asked for are things that can be completed within 60 to 90 days, and we're trying to do them as fast as possible. As I mentioned, 70 projects are moving forward. We've begun demining. But we are cognizant that this is a crucial time, and this will be the difference between Christian communities staying and Christian communities leaving Iraq. I will take back many of the comments that you've made today directly to my boss, the Secretary of State, and then onward to our White House. And I assure you they are considering all the possible mechanisms to help the communities as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your views and for taking back our concerns to your foreign department in State Department in Washington. It's a crucial time, you mentioned, and we, of course, believe you are right. We need to act as soon as possible, and we need to act together. And I would also like to thank you for your commitment of this administration when it comes to religious freedom in general. I think that's very good news that this is a prioritized area of the U.S. foreign policy. We need to emphasize the right for religious freedom much more than we have done so far, both from the European side and the United States. The United Nations have a special envoy for religious freedom, Heiner Bielefeld, who has stated that human rights without the perspective of religious freedom is without meaning. And I think it says it all, how important it is to keep up the rights when it comes to religious freedom. And we know that the violations against this human right is really increasing, and it's a great concern that we have to deal with.